Happy Friday. It is that time again for your Wild Weekend devotion with me, Cass Opal. Now, normally two things occur around this time at the opening of a video. First of all, I come to you from a wild space, either outside the church, outside my home, or somewhere in the city. And two, I start with a poem, but I'm not doing that today. The poetry is just because I'm shortening this a little bit because I have a call for you to head out into the wild space and wander instead of spending all of your time with me on a devotion. But also, I just did not have access to a wild space that was quiet enough to do a devotion this week, which speaks to the fact that, honestly speaking, our lives are noisy. It's noisy outside. It's noisy inside. Right now, it's actually smoky outside because of fires. That was another reason that kind of kept me out of the outdoors, health concerns. And so I decided to just go ahead and share a sacred space. This is one of my sacred spaces in my home where I will sit and read poetry or meditate or just take time to find some peace. And so today I wanted to tell you a little short story about my time exploring the Fontenelle Marsh and Wetlands last Friday. So it would have been a week ago. Actually, when you were watching the Friday devotion or when it was released at 6 o'clock on Friday last week, I was actually down in the park. It's not a park. It is a conservatory area exploring. And it was an absolutely gorgeous and magical space. And two friends of mine and I were walking on this path, just having theological discussion, talking about what we were going to do for our next wild worship. And we came to a fork in the road. And previously, when I had explored this place back in April, I believe I went right. Although the landscape of this marsh and swampland kind of area looked vastly different. Not really swampland, wetland area. Looked vastly different in April than it did in July. So I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure we went right. So we went left and followed the boardwalk. It was just a magical trip. And on the way back, we came back to that fork in the road. And I was just so pulled. I wanted to go explore the other way. It was hot. It was getting late. We had work to do. So we just paused. And as we're trying to make the decision if we frolic down this other path or go back to the cars, a bunny rabbit hops out from the woods. This is a little bit down this path that we're trying to decide whether we go. And the bunny stops smack in the middle of the road and just sits there. Now, I am a wild, feral inner child, and so my first thought was, I'm going to hop and I'm going to make friends with the bunny. We're going to be besties, and then we're going to frolic down the rabbit hole. I do not often follow my first thought patterns, so I paused, and we started to deliberate. And one of my colleagues, Juniper, who is also one of your wild worship facilitators, just said, let's pause. Maybe the rabbit doesn't want us to follow it. Maybe this is just a moment. And I thought about that for a moment. And one of the things I love about my friends in this specific instance is we speak the same neurodiverse language. So there's never a communication barrier like I tend to have with the rest of society. So in that moment, I felt just called to pause. So I did. I was deeply sad that I didn't have my good, big, fancy camera because I'm a photographer. And so the lighting was perfect. And it had been kind of drizzling a little bit. So there was kind of a fog and there was backlighting and it was this glorious photo. It was this right here. Do you see it? It's so beautiful. And I paused. And I let the bunny just kind of silently sit there. And I didn't chase it. And I didn't go after it in any kind of way. I realized that's what I wanted in that moment. That's what I wanted to do. But that wasn't what I was being called to do. In that moment, I was being called to pause, to let the peace, the beauty, and the inspiration of that moment wash over me. And I just took time. And I noticed my colleagues backed up a little to give me space. I just stood there. And I felt so alive with the area, alive with that connection with the bunny, because I wasn't forcing my will. I was just there to observe, respect, love, and go about my day. And that's what I did. And it was an incredible moment. And I wish I would have used that story in our wild worship. I had some other stuff going on, so I didn't. But I believe that's the story I was being told for that moment. And as I've gone forward, I realized that is the story from last weekend that I carry forward in my heart. That sometimes we are in the midst of stress and chaos, and everything in our life does not seem to be going our way. And maybe we have some friends to walk with, maybe we don't. Maybe we want to go out into nature, maybe we don't. I know at that moment, originally, I did not want to go. I was too stressed. I didn't want to go. But no matter what or where we are in these moments, we need to remember to take time to find the little moments of beauty and observe, to take them into our heart and take them forward so that we can love ourselves and love others. So I would like to close today with a poem from the Haunted Forest Trilogy. If you've been watching these, you know I love this book because it's both funny, lighthearted, and beautiful. And today's poem is called Synthesis. The mother tree builds the seed until the moment when the seed builds itself. It's the same with spirituality, with art, philosophy, and writing. At first, we must all borrow, calling on another's momentum to be our own, inheriting the nutrients we need to grow. Then we surprise ourselves. And we begin to trust our own meaning, and we begin to sense our own style, and we begin to honor our own perspective, and we begin to find our own voice. The seed takes root, building something familiar and yet entirely new. Go into the weekend, find your moment of peace. It doesn't have to be in a magic forest with a bunny. It can be in any moment. You take time to listen to not only your inner voice, but the space around you, so that you can care for yourself and others and continue to grow. Be loved, be beautiful, be peaceful, and know that you are cherished. Amen.